Alright mate, Slimemade here, and if I was to ask you the one simple question of what is the weirdest version of Minecraft, I can guarantee most of you guys are going to be saying something along the lines of, say, the April Fool's updates, which do tend to get a bit wacky. Now, I want to raise the possibility that Infdev version 2010.3.27, if I've got that right, is in fact the weirdest version of Minecraft. Now, you've probably seen me look around here and think, well, what's so weird about this one? And you'll probably notice there is a distinct lack of, well, one, sand. And that's not really the main thing here, but sand has been disabled and so has gravel. And that's because with this new world format that Notch was trying out in this specific version, you can actually transfer worlds up from this version all the way up to modern, which I think is absolutely fantastic. A great move in my opinion. But because Notch was trying a lot of stuff around this time, especially with world generation, a lot of stuff was actually disabled at this point in time. Take for example, he just completely got rid of caves in this update. And I think for a few updates, caves just didn't exist whatsoever, which is really strange, all things considered, considering how like quintessential they are to the Minecraft experience. And speaking of underground as well, them little dirt patches that nobody really cares about have also been disabled. But I mean, like, who really cares? The same thing with gravel, actually. But then you've also got like a few other stuff. Like, you'll notice there isn't any grass or flowers or mushrooms or anything generating, because those have also been disabled. Structures don't really exist yet, so we don't really need to talk about them. But one of the perks of this new like world generation format is that this is the first world gen, and well, up until beta 1.7.3, the only ones that can have the Firelands. As of beta 1.8, they just kind of got rid of the Firelands out of Minecraft altogether, which is kind of gutting in a way, because they've kind of got like that mythical status to them now. But you'll see me that I am in fact like chopping down a lot of trees down here. There's a bit of a reason for that, because it will take a little bit of setup to actually explain why I'm doing this. And you've probably noticed the saplings over there. And what's going on with them is I initially thought I could, like, you know, grow my own grove of trees. But yeah, sapling growing has been completely disabled in this version. So you're probably thinking to yourself, is this just a version of Minecraft where they just disabled most of the game mechanics? And to that I say, kind of, but then there's also just a lot of like other weird, quirky stuff in this version. Like, you've probably noticed how barren the land is. Like, there's no sheep or pigs or chickens or spontaneously combusting zombies walking around. But that's because, yeah, they have in fact been disabled. And I will say, in the case of the skeleton, it's a good thing that they were actually disabled, because there's a bit of a weird quirk in this version that's kind of a holdover from another one. That if you have a bow and arrow and you shoot that arrow at the ground, it can spawn a random mob at that location. Any random mob, including a skeleton, and you can probably guess what would happen from there. Skeleton spawns and starts spraying arrows everywhere, and then all of a sudden now you've got mobs literally everywhere. You can probably see how that would be hazardous to the game's performance and that. But what it is because these things like mob spawning and that has been disabled, it does technically mean the world is a lot safer, but it also means that a lot of the features of the world, like, say, you know, like, take for example, making leather armor and like bone mealing crops and stuff like that, you can't do that. And you also can't even make arrows, so I can't even show you that weird little quirk. And just one last one that I want to talk about with world generation, because you may see me walk past it over there. But water works really strange in this version. In some of the older versions of the game, water, when you'd put it down, it would just spread infinitely until it hit a wall. That's been completely disabled. Now water doesn't even spread at all, so you've got these very strange situations where the water blocks just don't update, which is really surreal to see, actually. Speaking of just like surreal stuff, a lot of people will probably say this is quite, you know, liminal, as it's kind of become like a meme term now, and you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, but it's almost got like a dreamlike feel to it. In my opinion, it is very strange, quite alien, if I'm gonna be honest. And with the fact that there's no mobs around, and the fact that, you know, stuff like cave sounds don't exist, and music has also been disabled, that's another one. It's just really strange. But you're probably wondering, well, why did I do all that, you know, like cutting the trees up there and that with the diamond blocks in there? It's because quite possibly my favourite feature of this entire version of Minecraft is this. What's this? Trees regenerate as long as there's a dirt block under the original location where trees were. And it's not just that, because, and I love this, and it's how I've managed to get this, and this is supposed to be for gold, but I haven't found any yet. But the same thing works with ores as well. If you actually mine out ores in this version of the game and then replace it with stone in the exact location where the ores were, they'll actually just regenerate. You log out and then log back into your world, it'll actually just regenerate the ores back in its place. Very cheaty, but I kind of love it. I love like old exploits in Minecraft like this. And I'll get onto that weird footstep thing in a minute, but essentially there's a lot of stuff in this version that just doesn't exist yet, or is disabled, and as a result there's some just like weird compromises, you know, to make up for that. Also, here's another one, just seeing as we're talking about water, but there is lava and there's no bedrock at the bottom of the world. It's just like a plain of lava. But because there's no buckets, you can't actually place water and lava next to each other to get obsidian, which also, by the way, I'm just going to say, making obsidian with water and lava doesn't exist yet. So that was kind of a pointless thing to bring up. But furnaces in this version actually are, I believe, twice as fast as they are in modern versions, which is kind of a change I'd love to see back. And you probably see that it's starting to get dark now. And I've noticed it doesn't quite update the same way that like alpha and beta darkness does, where it just like the darkness crawls across the land. It's almost like very sudden. It's not like a gradual fade like in, like, say, newer versions, or that crawling stuff. I love that. It's like the part 4 JoJo opening. But yeah, there's just a lot of weird stuff that doesn't exist in this version, but there's also just like weird stuff that does exist. Like this one I found out just by out of curiosity. Watch this, right? You can actually place blocks in your exact location, and there's no suffocation damage either, so you can just do this as well, and you can just see through walls. The easiest x-ray that Minecraft has ever had, even though it's kind of pointless because caves don't exist yet. It's not that they don't exist yet, they just don't exist at all. You just phase through the blocks like that. But I was saying about the weird footsteps thing, and this is something that's in like most versions of beta, but if you walk down blocks like this and then stop suddenly, every single footstep sound that you would have made while walking down the blocks plays simultaneously. It's like the game catching up. But it's not like the only like weird quirk that's in this version that's also in like beta and that, because you can also do this. Which is just, if you actually mash the right click button while holding down the left click button, the picks just don't animate. And I'm not too sure which version this is still in, but furnaces, when you place them down, I'm just going to make a furnace just to show you this, but furnaces, when you place them down in this version, they always face like certain directions based on the block that they're placed on. It's really quite strange, actually. It's like them ones that I put in the corner there, I tried to make them face the direction that I wanted, you know, wanted them facing this way, but instead they faced, I think it's something similar to what rails do in some versions of beta. But I'm not entirely too sure why that does that. And just one quick small one, but for some reason, if you actually click something in your inventory and like mouse over stuff, it actually goes behind like blocks and that in your inventory. So I'm not too sure which versions of alpha and beta that's in, but I am very much aware that that is a thing. But there is actually just like we're saying, because a lot of the mobs and that were disabled. But it's not that a lot of the mobs were disabled, it was that all the mobs are disabled. Don't take that out of context. And that all of the, what's it called? Like, a good chunk of the world gen features were disabled. It means that just a lot of stuff just is unobtainable right now. Because like water and lava you can't obtain because buckets don't exist and you can't exactly dupe anything. Gravel just doesn't generate. Because sand doesn't exist in this version. Well, it's not that it doesn't exist. I keep saying this over and over and over again, but sand doesn't generate either. You can't get glass. You also can't get wool, which in this version is actually called cloth. And weird thing to bring up, but Notch actually removed all the coloured cloth in this version. Just only left the white one for some reason, but then brought it back in a few updates later. Both flowers and both mushrooms are completely disabled in this version. Like I said, because you can't get sand or gunpowder from creepers, because creepers don't spawn, sand doesn't generate. You can't make TNT. Mossy cobble is in this version, but dungeons don't spawn yet, so it is completely unobtainable. Bricks are a weird one because it is a very strange feature that was in the previous version, the brick pyramids, but they were again disabled in this version. So you actually can't get bricks whatsoever, and clay blobs don't generate on like sand, I believe it is, in alpha and beta at all. They just don't spawn at all in this version. Kind of because, like I said, they don't exist yet. But you can't get bricks in this version whatsoever. And bookshelves exist, but there's no sugarcane. And even that, well, actually, no, that's a modern feature that the lever. But even then, you just, because there's no sugarcane, you can't actually make anything in regards to, well, you can't make bookshelves at all. I don't even know where I'm going with that one. And like I said, you just can't get obsidian, despite the fact that in an older version of Infdev, or maybe Infdev, there was in fact obsidian walls that would generate at around 0, which is a very strange feature, all things considered. But I do think, to be honest, I think more people should check out this version just to find out how weird it is. Because some of these are just stuff that isn't even on the wiki from what I can tell. It's just weird stuff I've stumbled upon. And I thought, you know what, it's weird enough to talk about. And I've not really seen anyone raise the possibility of this version of Infdev being the weirdest version of Minecraft that's ever been, like, that you can still play, actually, more or less. Also, you may notice playing as Steve, because skins don't exist yet either. But that being said, that's pretty much the point of this video, all things considered. You can tell I'm a bit like rusty doing these video stuff and that, because I've not really done a voiceover video in like, what, 5 months now maybe? It's all because of a living situation I have completely no control over. This is the first time in that time when I've had just like an hour to myself to record stuff, so if you like this kind of messy video, I wish I could do more of them, but just leave a comment and like and do all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you guys next time, probably. Bye! Also, just forgot to mention this, but if you're wondering why I wanted to do a video on old Minecraft and just like rambling and that, I was kind of inspired by Dialco and Coal Powered to do this kind of video, so shout outs to them, I guess. Yeah, so adding on to this, I just discovered this. If you resize the window, it does this, and if you enter a world, you take damage. Okay.